All right, so this is from the book. Okay, this is going to be a whore dog gig. I want you to know it up front. I would advise you not to take it if you have any misgivings at all. It's called the Texas Redneck Games, and it is in East Texas, and it will be crappy, but the money is really good, and it's one 75-minute set and $2,500. And I told them they could not advertise your name in Dallas, and we could really use the money. You could pay whoever you wanted to play with you, like $300 a man, and after expenses and commissions, we would net $1,000, $1,200, and we kind of need the money, and no one in Austin would find out, and it would be just play, take the money, and run. And how bad could it really be? I mean, after all, you wrote Redneck Mother, so you kind of started this celebration of low-life white trash motherfuckers anyway, so what do you think? Judy waited for my answer knowing I would say yes, but giving me a chance to say no. I say, yeah, how bad could it really be? I mean, after all, just Rick and I opened for David Allen Coe at this club called Gators in Gun Barrel City, Texas, and the opening band before us was a Leonard Skinner Guns N' Roses tribute band, and that went pretty well. You know, so we get to the side of the games about 9 o'clock, and it was like a 1930 Oklahoma dust storm. From the earth to the sky, there is this horrible brown hazy cloud blocking out the full moon that is created from every off-road vehicle sold in the South since 1980, roaring all over this giant darn field with Texas and rebel flags flying from the handlebars. And there are more locusts swarming up in the air than there were because of Yahweh's curse upon Pharaoh in the book of Exodus. I'm getting sick to my stomach, and we pull up to the stage, and the band opening for us is playing Friends in Low Places and throwing condoms with their logo on them to the crowd. The promoter comes up and tells us the redneck comedian from Nashville got too drunk to perform, but crawled on stage during the wet T-shirt contest and started following the girls and got a microphone and started making comments so rude even the drunk rednecks in the crowd were offended and threatened to beat the shit out of him. The promoter had to hold a fifth of bourbon in front of him to get him off stage into a pickup truck to take him to the hotel. As George and I walk down toward the midway looking for the food tents, we hear the MC announce that there's been a tie in the butt crack contest. This is true. I mean, I forgot, He said, I've just lost my appetite. And there's one other little thing here, just a second, see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, I see. As we're waiting in line at some sausage stand, the guy in front of us who has no shirt on is talking to a 20-something redneck girl, and she asked him about the Chinese symbol that had tattooed on his neck. He says this, and this is a direct quote, "That's my name in Oriental." She says, "Cool." As we walk away, George says he always wondered what the Chinese symbol was for Bubba. So, yeah, that was, it gets worse from there. So, yeah, that's why it was a gig. But the weird thing about it, I'll skip all this other stuff, is that, so we go on stage, right, after this deal. Said, "We are rock and roll, we are decadent, we are golden." After every song, I shout, "Is anybody drunk yet?" The roar from the crowd is deafening. Now, Scrappy has played with Ian McLagan, and Ron Wood has set in with him. George has done gigs with Chris Robinson, Jacob Dylan, the Dixie Chicks, and Joe Walsh. Darren Hess has played with Green on Red, James McMurtry, and Bruce Robinson. All three have done late-night TV shows and rock festivals and toured Europe and Japan. Yet each one will tell you that the East Texas Rednecks game, they play with me for $300 in this dusty, bug-filled night near Tyler is their favorite gig of all time. I mean, yeah, there's some stuff in there about people, copulating in front of our van, but, we don't. That was one of my gigs. That's a whore dog gig. Does that answer your question? There was a guy, did you ever see the movie Songwriter, the one with Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, and everything? Okay, there was a character in there played by Rip Torn, and he played this character named Dino, who was like a promoter. Well, that was based on a real guy named Gino McCausland, who had 57 Doors there in Dallas. And Gino, there's some stories about him. He always treated me great, except that 57 Doors, I was kind of the house band there. because we shared a number of, bad habits. And I was kind of the house band there. I mean, I opened for everybody from Bill Monroe to Mimi Farina. I mean, it was just a great opportunity. We were playing there, so it fit 7 doors. It was just this funky old club there. And so Gino came up one time and said, "Oh, hey, man, in 2 weeks, I got Commander Cody coming up. Why don't you start, pitching it from the stage?" So I'd go up there and say, "Hey, okay, get your tickets for Commander Cody. And, 2 weeks is going to be here and everything." So we'd promote it, from the gig and everything. He'd put up posters and everything. So he came up and said, "Okay, I want you to open for Commander Cody that night." Great. So we're up there playing. "Hey, Commander Cody's going to be here, 2 weeks from now. Commander will be here a week from now." So anyhow, that Sunday afternoon is in August. Remember that. So we get there, at the gig that afternoon, so in case, so Gino come and said, go ahead and leave your equipment. I said, "Well, don't we need to move our equipment so Commander Cody can sound check?" No, they're running a little bit late. Go ahead, leave your stuff up there. So anyhow, we leave our stuff up there, and so the doors open at 7, I think. And this was August. It was hot in Dallas. So anyhow, Gino comes up and says, "Okay," so he goes up and he goes up by the front door, and he has Gary McDonald stand there with like a tire iron or a bat. And then he has one of the girls come up, and he brings a keg of beer with a bunch of paper cups right by the door. And he said, "Okay, I want you to get up there and start playing." And I go, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, Commander Cody's bus broke down. They're not going to be able to make it." I went, "Oh, man." And so he opened the door, and these people been out there waiting. So he came in, and tickets were like $2. Now, you could see me for 50 cents. That was my price back then. Maybe $1 on the weekends. But Commander Cody was like, I don't know, $2-3. So people had been out there. So he came up and had Gary Mack with his tire and this girl pouring beer out of this cheap beer out of a keg. And he says, "Y'all come on in." So he says, "Commander Cody can't make it tonight, but Wylie Hubbard's playing, free beer tonight as long as it lasts." So people came on in. They paid $2 to see me, which the night before they could have seen me for 50 cents. So we got up there and played, and everybody got drunk and all that stuff. And, come to find out later, Commander Cody had never been booked. There was no radio or TV. It was just from the club promoting it, So Gino, I still made the same amount of money, but, he had a packed house on a Sunday. And he just was out, a few kegs of beer, So, but he always treated me great, man. I mean, we'd go up there and to get paid, and there'd always be some, cocaine and a gun on the table. It was just one of those things, and it was just kind of those crazy days. But yeah, we had some great gigs there, man. And so, yeah, he got in a big pissing match with the guy who ran all the vending machines there in Dallas, which back in those days was kind of, pretty shaky. So anyhow, we'd play, and we'd just leave our gear there, right? So we showed up one night to play, and he had got in a pissing match with the vending machine about, because he figured out a way to get the quarters out of the pool table. Somehow he had a key made, and so they were shorting. He was shorting the guy who had the vending company. So we show up, and all of a sudden there's chains on the doors, and there's like these Doberman Pinscher attack dogs loose inside. As the guy that opened up the door, put these dogs in there, and then chained it back. So if anybody tried to, so we're up there, and our gear's in there, and these dogs are, really. And so Gino dries up. I go, what about our gear? And he goes, "Oh, we're closed tonight." And then so we left, and about an hour later, he called me up and said, "Hey, we're back open." So we go back down there, and obviously had made a deal with B&B Vending, and we went back and played that night. But yeah, it was quite an adventure back then.